When White Blood Cells arrived in 2001, it felt like the raw nerve the rock world desperately needed to be jolted awake. In an era bloated with, overproduced nu metal and polished pop punk, the White Stripes offered something primal and imperfect, a garage rock revival record that wore its bruises proudly. At its core, White Blood Cells is a testament to the power of simplicity. Jack and Meg White, armed with just a guitar, a drum kit, and a strangely mythologized brother-sister dynamic, crafted songs that crackled with energy, charm, and mystery. Their refusal to clutter the mix made the record breathe. You could feel the air between the chords, the space between the beats, and the music as reduction, a return to rock's skeletal structure. With tracks like Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground and Fell in Love with a Girl buzz with fudge-drenched intimacy, yet behind the distortion and stomp is undeniable pop craftsmanship. Jack White's guitar playing is less about shredding and more about texture, sharp, jagged, and urgent, while Meg White's drumming, often dismissed as redundantry, but by critics at the time, serve as the heartbeat of the album. It's steady, raw, and perfectly human. Lyrically, the album dances between playfulness and melancholy. On We're Going to Be Friends, Jack drops the distortion and sings gently about the innocence of schoolyard friendship, a moment of sweetness amid the otherwise ragged soundscape or landscape. Elsewhere, songs like The Union Forever and Can't Wait crackle with frustration and longing, suggesting, romantic and existential anxieties boiling just beneath the surface. Perhaps the most lasting legacy of White Blood Cells is how it proved that rock and roll could still feel dangerous, spontaneous, and alive without, studio trickery or digital polish. It opened the door for the garage rock and post-punk revival of the early 2000s, paving the way for bands like The Strokes, Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and Black Keys to step into the mainstream spotlight. More than that, White Blood Cells captured something fleeting and magical, a band on the brink of exploding into the public consciousness. Still fueled by DIY spirit and weird Detroit magic, it's the sound of friction and chemistry, imperfect, immediate, and endlessly compelling. Over 2 decades later, it remains a high point, not just for the White Stripes, but for modern rock itself. Sometimes less really is more. So if you haven't checked this album out, check it out. Let me know what you think.